And what I usually say, it's like opening a brewery in London for an Italian. It's like for a British person to go to Naples and open a pizzeria.
And that was Daniele from ORA Brewing in Northern England. Yeah, that's right. We went international this week.
The Brew Roots podcast is proudly affiliated with the Mass Brew Bros. Be sure to check out their website to stay up to date with all Mass beer-related news. Thanks for listening to another episode of Brew Roots, where we tell the stories behind your favorite craft beverage. I'm Sound Guy Ryan, and joining me, as always, is Matt and Erica.
Do-do-do. Here we are. Yeah.
What's up?
What up, man?
Cheerio.
How's it going?
Actually, this week.
Cheerio.
We went across the pond for this episode.
We did. We're very tired.
We are.
It was a long trip.
My arms are killing me.
I know. I had to go from my house to Small Pond Studios
In Georgetown, Massachusetts.
in order to do this interview.
Yeah. If you heard in the intro, we went across the pond to Daniele. And we thought that Daniele was Daniel, and he was a British dude. But as it turns out,
He's Daniele from Italy.
which is even cooler. So
That has a brewery in London.
Yeah, exactly.
Which has a brewery in
Yeah.
London. And
Yeah.
I remember telling my girlfriend, I was like, I cannot wait to ask this British dude to do an American accent.
And we asked
Britain,
an Italian
too.
dude instead, and it was pretty great.
It was awesome because, like, I don't know. I feel like all the time we're like,
We're always doing other people's
British
accents,
accents, right? Like
Yeah.
you hear like kids, and even I was guilty of doing it in high school. Like, I don't know. Good day, mate. I don't know. That's Australian. I don't know. I'm stupid. But, that kind of thing. But we had an awesome episode last week.
Yes, we did. Yeah. Von Trapp, I love their beer still. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
I picked some up the other day, and I was
They're
blown-
kind of an OG.
Yeah.
Our friend Chris Beerfridge, he shouted us out, and he was like, I actually got married up there.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was
Crazy.
like, that's really cool. Like, so I'm pumped about that. Like, the Stowe area is definitely a special area just because
Faux show.
there's amazing beer. The scene is great. Like, the scenery, the food, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
I should live up there.
You should.
Yeah.
Brew
But
Roots Studio.
Yeah.
that would be really cool. So what have you guys been up to?
Just editing last week's episode took me a while, and then I had to revisit some stuff to get ready for this week. Other than that, that's basically all I've been doing.
Erica?
Yeah. I went to another wedding,
weddings.
actually. Yeah, I had the second of 3 weddings. This one was in Maine, so I stopped at a few breweries on my way up, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Stopped at Hidden Cove, where they had some really solid sours. Actually, I was rather impressed. We had a habanero sour, which was fantastic.
Dang.
Yeah, highly recommend. And then we stopped at, I think it's called Baston's, right in Kennebunkport. They're a distillery and brewery, and really solid. Really
Nice.
solid beer. And my boyfriend had a rum cocktail. It was quite lovely.
That's cool. I do love when you can go to a brewery and get a rum drink or a spirit.
Yes, it was fabulous.
I've been drinking that Notch Blonde Ale.
We've all had that,
Yeah.
and that was wonderful.
I had like 4 during the interview that you guys
No
will hear.
regrets.
And what's nice about them, they're like 4.5%, so I don't sound too crazy. I don't think I sounded
No.
too crazy.
No, only when you move your mouth away from the microphone.
Yeah, but that's just part of the charm of the podcast.
The allure
Sure.
of Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan, have you been drinking anything?
So I've been going crazy with some stuff. So I had some of the Bent Water Lager.
I love that can, that gold, like
Yeah.
that old school feel.
It had that old
Yeah.
school feel, and that's what really it actually drew my eyes to that than all the other newer stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, "What's this?" And it was the Bent Water Lager. I also had the Mighty Squirrel Hefeweizen.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the lager from Mighty Squirrel. Not yet.
No, not yet. I need to make my way up there to do the sound check or the mic check.
Mic drop,
That's what
right?
it's called,
Yeah.
mic check.
Yeah.
Yeah, JP, we got to make our way out there.
We do. But yeah, I had their Hefeweizen. Excellent beer. Right now I'm rocking the Nightlight. and I had a night heavy, and I'm doing
You're
great.
doing great.
I'm
It's
doing
so
great.
Awesome to see the evolution of Sound Guy Ryan's
It
drinking.
is.
Like
He's come a
before
long
being
way.
a haze bro and now just being like a
A
common
crispy
man.
boy. A common man.
common man.
yes.
The common man. Excellent.
Yes. Oh, but we are very excited. I'm excited for this interview. It's our first international brewery, and
It is. It
Um,
went super well, and this guy is really awesome.
Yeah, and
it was really cool to learn about a different beer scene.
And I think he was also excited to learn about
Our beer
ORA.
scene. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're going to hear a lot of stories that you're familiar with, obviously, knowing what our beer scene is like here in the United States, and
Yeah.
then knowing what it's like in Italy or what it's like in England.
Yeah.
And England being a pub culture, I thought it was so interesting to hear him say, like, beer's really not a good beer, quote unquote good beer, is not really available in the marketplace. You have to go to the pub, which we
Don't really have an issue with that here.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
all the breweries that we mentioned just previously, you do not have to go to the brewery
Nope.
to get those beers, and we're very, very lucky. I mean, we
Yeah.
love to go to those breweries and we love to support them, but breweries like
If you don't-
Rockport
yeah.
and Gilded Skull and Wandering Soul, would they exist in a place like Britain?
No.
With that,
That's a good point. Probably not.
so we are very lucky with the beer scene that we have here, distribution wise, to support that type of effort.
Yeah, I just think it was really awesome to hear the similarities and differences between the two
Yeah.
Yeah,
locations.
the haze craze.
And they-
That's actually a thing out there.
They love New England style IPAs.
Yeah.
Not
Yep.
surprised. Not
Yeah.
surprised. But I don't want to get too much into the interview, so
Yeah.
we'll let you guys
Take a
listen
listen.
to it. But any Pink Boots news going on, Erica?
No.
Scholarship,
If you're a
scholarship
scholar,
stuff.
well, right, exactly. And if your membership has lapsed, please log back in and sign up. Renew your membership, because I think there's a few actual events coming up. I know there's one
Ooh.
coming up in early August in Maine for the Hop Yard there, the Hop Yard tour, which is pretty cool. That's all I know of at the moment, but I believe there is more to come. So make sure you sign back up.
Ryan, are you going to join the homebrew club?
Yes, as soon as they start doing in-person things, I'm gonna try out their next Zoom meeting to see what's going on and just to introduce myself and meet all these new people. I've met them before at True North, and I'm like super excited to get them to know them more and learn from them.
That's awesome.
Like that's what I'm really excited about, is just to learn from all these different people, because like I had a lot of fun, brewing my own beer, but it's hard when you're doing it with like your sister who doesn't drink beer and is really just there
it's
for
hard
moral
when-
support.
Right. Neither of you have
right?
done it before, right?
Yeah,
So,
and like
yeah.
I just need to do it, but experiment, but be, told how to experiment and not feel bad if you fuck up.
Ryan,
Right?
this week we should brew beer at my house because I'm taking the week off, and we'll take a day off and we'll brew it together.
Yes.
Do
All
it.
right, we
Done.
will. So you guys follow us on social media at Brew Roots on everything. We're trying to be a little bit better at Twitter. I think I posted last week on Twitter.
I posted today actually on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to see Ryan and my brew day, and maybe we can get Erica out there for the brew day as well.
What?
You will have a link in our bio or something. I don't know.
Or
We'll have
something.
something. But
Yeah.
follow us. We've had a lot of people listening to our past catalog, which is so amazing. So thank you. We've seen the numbers of people listening to like older episodes. Like I saw somebody listen to our Gentilly episode. That's
What?
from like 2017. Like
Thank you.
Awesome.
But also, we've gotten better, so
Yes.
listen to
Yeah,
our more
yes,
recent
listen
ones.
to more ones. Also, we definitely are going to be revisiting a lot of the older breweries that we've interviewed because things are updated now. For sure.
Things have changed at those breweries, and we want to know,
What's going on.
What's going on?
So I think we need a word from our sponsors.
Until next week.
Cheers.
Hey, Sound Guy Ryan here. Didn't know if you heard, but we're a part of the Hopped Up Network. There you'll find other informative podcasts about beer. So go ahead, follow them on social media, and visit them on their website, hoppedupnetwork.com, to learn more about the people, beer, and breweries from around the country. And until next time, thanks for listening. Cheers.
This week's episode would not be possible without our amazing sponsor, Shirts on Tap.
Each month, They team up with breweries from across the country and create a custom shirt and deliver it to your doorstep, along with stickers and coupons.
Sign up today using the promo code BrewRoots for $5 off your first box.
Head on over to shirtsontap.com today. And remember, drink better beer, wear better shirts.
At our local homebrew shop, Beer and Wine Hobby, you can get everything you need to make beer, wine, cider, and cheese.
Not sure where to start? The knowledgeable staff at Beer and Wine Hobby are there to help. Beer and Wine Hobby is family owned and located in Danvers, Massachusetts. To learn more about them, check out their website, www.beer-wine.com.
Don't forget to use our promo code BrewRoots for 10% off your online order today. Cheers.
All right. So we are quite jet lagged, actually, because we made a trip all the way across to England for our first interview.
It was a long flight during COVID.
And we have to quarantine for
14 days
now because of COVID.
Or
No,
the length of your stay, either or.
just kidding. We're here live at Small Pond Studios in Georgetown, Massachusetts. Major shout out to our man Jazz for doing this tonight.
Whoop, whoop.
And we have our first international guest, Daniele from ORA Brewing.
Nailed it.
Did I do that right?
That was perfect, mate.
Oh, that's the Italian in me. See, I'm Italian, so
Exactly.
I can do it. How are you today? What time is it over there?
It's 9 o'clock.
In the
It's been a
evening?
pretty intense weekend
Yeah.
for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
been quite busy from Friday and Saturday at the tap room, and I was working alone there. So we had to manage a bunch of 200 people yesterday until
Oof.
2 a.m. So sorry if I'm a bit slow today.
Oh,
that's
no,
all
it's
right.
all good. Thank you for doing this.
And you may notice we said that we were interviewing a British-based brewery, and we definitely are.
Yeah.
And it came to our messages that you were like, my thick Italian accent. And I was like, oh, this is even better. Like, this is so great. So we were very excited.
Yes.
So we start every podcast by asking our guests their first memory of beer and their role at the brewery.
Sure. So, I guess my approach to beer, my first connection to beer was when I was back in Italy. I lived 30 years there. I moved to London 6 years ago. 7 years ago in Italy, beer was pretty much non-existent. As in, craft beer is still kind of relatively new thing. I guess for me, standard answer, probably something like Sierra Nevada, pale, punk IPA maybe. But yeah, probably something like that.
So
That's cool.
Not being exposed to beer at a young age, were you experienced a beer or other spirits, wine, alcohol?
Yeah, so Italy is more like a wine culture at the end, and the whole drinking experience is massively different. Like, people go out for food and then they will have drink as a complement to food. So in England it's totally opposite. People just go after work, they go smash, they don't care about the food or crisps. The drink is the only option. So for me, it's always been more kind of wine. And my dad makes wine, so
Cool.
yeah.
Following in the
that's-
family footstep of
In a
brewing
sense,
or
yeah.
alcohol based.
Yeah, we're all a bunch of drunk addicts.
And what's your role at ORA?
So I started it officially 5 years ago. That's when we registered the company. We've always been brewing. We started 10 years ago in my garage in Modena, northern Italy. Just been brewing with friends, really just to get some free beer.
Right.
Really. And then I moved to London 6 years ago. I was doing something different by then. And then I found myself as a baby in a candy shop, really. London is a place where, and I guess, in the US it's pretty much the same, right? London has got, 10 million of people and 200 breweries now. It's literally, what I really like is that is a nice combo of old school breweries striving to make like the most modern beers. Like, you have like breweries that have been there for like 200 years, making like Berliner Weiss,
New England style
saison, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then at the same time, you have new breweries that are trying to, discover some, old stuff like, red ale, bitters, porters. So that kind of blew my mind and made me think, let's start a brewery.
That's awesome. Not being exposed to beer, when I think of Italian beers, and forgive me, I'm not well versed. It's like Peroni is the only Italian beer that I know of. You mentioned Sierra Nevada. Did you start homebrewing to brew the beers that you wanted to drink, or did you just want to experiment more?
It's funny. Well, I didn't have any, as you said, any comparison really. So it was kind of reading books and reading YouTube. I guess nowadays it will be easier for someone that wants to start because you have more craft beer options in Italy and you get more like chance to try new stuff. But by then it was just basically starting with something easier. Actually, we started with something quite tough because Pilsner was our first brew.
Oh wow!
And stab mash, so all the complexity of
Did you nail it?
Pilsner. No, it was terrible. It was terrible. It took us really 2 years to get to something drinkable. But yeah, I mean, and then when we're starting, also in Italy, you started to see a little bit more beer, but it would have been more bottom fermentation, more like German style. So that's, lagers are still quite popular in Italy in terms of style. So, the hoppy stuff is not until when I moved to London that I try to, get my head around hops.
Yeah. What did you do before brewing? What was your career?
I was in consulting, so management consulting. Boring office job.
And what was the moment that you kind of said, I don't want to have a boring office job any longer. I want to brew full time. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, I guess it all started with a friendship, really. It's a story of a friendship, like probably many breweries really here. So, the two guys that I was brewing with when I was in Italy there, two of my closest friends. And then when I moved to London, I started to brew with one of who became the head brewer at ORA last year. So, it was just a connection, us going out every night, getting smashed, trying new beers, getting we're all Italian, so foodie, into wine. So experimentation was at the center of our project, really. And the beer that really changed our mind was, actually I have one here. It's a balsamic milk stout.
I saw that on your
Yeah, I saw
website.
that,
That is so cool.
Which is basically, and it sounds disgusting, I know, a milk stout, classic milk stout, brewed with barrel-aged balsamic vinegar and vanilla. So I come from Modena, which is the city where all the balsamic vinegar come from, and I always wanted to make something with it. So before that, we only used to brew Pilsner, Session, nothing really that came out of the market, right? That was something different. Was something that we could connect as a friends, but also for our project, we can really push our DNA stronger. So we thought that could be our view in the market, something that we could do something different from us. I mean, think that London has a story of centuries of people making amazing beers.
Yeah.
So can really someone from Italy come to London and brew like a pale better than what these guys have been doing for, beautifully for ages?
Yeah.
So we had to find something different in a way.
Yeah.
And that was the start.
So you went into it saying we want to be a little bit different than everyone else.
Stand out, right?
Yeah, to stand out.
Yeah.
To have not just for the sake of being different, but more to kind of have a clear project and that really connects to what we know and what we like, which is Italian food, basically.
So are your recipes food driven for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, we go a lot to restaurants and try a lot of food and the combination. Like for example, last year we went to Spanish restaurants that we really like, and we tried this basically panna cotta with basil, strawberry, and chili, and it blew our mind. And we make a beer basically out of it that was exactly like a pale with a nice basil note on the nose. some strawberries in fermentation, and then some Scotch bonnet chili in fermentation again, which is of course quite strong
Yeah.
in your head. But at the end, it was quite balanced between the strawberry, the basil, and the chili note. So
Nice.
it
Yeah.
kind of worked really well.
So you mentioned all of your friends. Can you talk about who are they? Who are the friends?
So they're a bunch of nutters like me. One based in Modena, one based in Milan, and myself based in London. So that's the kind of the three guys that started the company. So we're still the owners. And then now we go, and fourth person was the head brewer, who's German, as I was saying before. And she's amazing. She's 22, super young. She basically started to brew when she was 14, which is absolutely amazing.
So cool.
Started in Germany for 4 years. So, the purity law,
Right.
she didn't like it. She moved out when she was 18, and she brewed in Greenland for 4 years as a head brewer in a brewery there.
Very cool.
So, yeah, that's who we are.
Yeah. And where did you guys meet? How did you talk about meeting your head brewer, or just meeting your friends as well?
Yeah.
Like, were they childhood friends?
We were, I don't usually say that, but we all used to be scouts, which is like super nerd. But yeah, we used to be like scouts when we were like 8 to 15. So that's how we met. And then we've always been connected. And for us also, like starting the brewery here in London was a way for us to be connected over the years.
And then how did you meet your head brewer?
So my head brewer, so the one that started with us 2 years ago, was a guy from Italy, again, from my city. So we met randomly in a pub in London. We got drunk. We started to drink. We started to talk about working together, and then he started with us. Julia, who's the new brewer, she started in January. And basically when the old brewer went back to Italy, we just started an application.
Gotcha.
We met her.
Yeah.
How have things changed from the old brewer to the new brewer, having that German style kind of incorporated into?
It was weird a little bit, as in weird in a positive way, because it was a challenge for us, right? Group of Italian, all foodie, pretty much all aligned. Well, German, at the beginning was a bit of a question mark, but it was the best thing that we could. More diversity, new interest for new styles that we wouldn't normally thought about. And so, it helped us a lot. And the quality has improved a lot, I think, as well.
Consistency, would you say? Or
Consistency as well.
Yeah, that's huge for a brewery.
It is. And for me, also what's quite big is the mouthfeel. We were struggling a little bit with the mouthfeel in the beers and the body. Julia, the new brewer, is absolutely fantastic with, how she can recreate that kind of balance between the malt and the hops, and, really have some thick liquid, which is what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So how long has ORA been around for? You said
5 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah. And have you been full-time with ORA this entire time, or what? Are you still working, your side job, or?
No, I stopped 2 years ago. So now I'm
Congrats.
full-time. On this. Yeah.
Is that a good
Exciting.
feeling to be done with your
Consulting.
former job?
It was scary at the beginning, but I was looking forward to it. And
Good.
we got this little site in North London. Have you guys ever been to London?
I
or
have
to
not,
the UK?
no.
Actually, no. Was going to go, but with COVID, we had to cancel our plans, so that didn't happen.
I know.
But
We had an amazing American brewery that was supposed to come for a collab with us, Dancing Gnomes.
Oh, nice.
Okay, yeah,
Where
we've
are
heard
they
of
out
them.
of?
Yeah.
New York, maybe?
New York?
No.
I can't remember actually, but they were coming for Hop City, which is an amazing hoppy beer festival in the UK. But of course, that was cancelled.
cool.
So
What was I gonna say? Whereabouts in London are you? Are you close to Big Ben, or if people wanted to find you, where are you?
we're North London.
Okay.
So London is divided in 4 areas, and there's a huge divide there between north and south.
Okay.
We north. We're next to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Okay.
So yeah, just like 5 minutes from them.
Cool. It's a good spot then.
Yeah. Well,
When
we
there's
started there,
games
the
going
stadium
on.
wasn't there.
Oh, wow.
Pretty lucky.
Yeah. Nice.
No kidding.
But now there is a brewery in the stadium as well.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah.
They got clever.
Of course. And are you only brewing in London, or are you also doing things in Italy still? Or?
No, now we only brew in London. We do some collabs with a lot of Italian breweries
Okay.
because we still want to get that connection going.
Yeah.
So we have at least like a collab every other month where we go there and we'll stuff with them.
That's cool. Do you find that a lot of breweries enjoy doing collabs over there in Europe?
It's amazing. I enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot. It's a good way for us to learn. I mean, of course, to meet new people.
Right.
That's the main thing. It's all about connections. But it's also a good way to learn, especially from bigger breweries, from breweries that have different techniques and styles and approaches to brewing. It's quite funny. We launched a series last year called Italian Gelato.
Oh.
So it was a series of collabs to recreate some of the classic Italian gelato flavors, like stracciatella, which was vanilla and chocolate, bacio, which was hazelnut, and we did this imperial stout with hazelnut and chocolate, which was really, really thick, really, really nice. So yeah, for us, any kind of collabs is always like, there is an idea behind it. There is a project. We try to do series. This year we launched another Italian thing called the Italian dessert. So we did like a cannoli beer, panettone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice.
So they did a brewery in Boston, Harpoon Brewery, did a cannoli beer, and
right.
it was very good. I think I want to try yours. Yours,
Yeah,
sounds
yours
a
might be
little
more
bit-
authentic. I don't know.
Let me show you too quickly because the name is quite nice.
Yeah, absolutely. There can only be one. That is such a good name.
That is good.
So chocolate and pistachio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you find brewing those stouts to be a harder thing? Was that something that you wanted to brew, or it just being food driven? Was it exciting to brew those?
I think it's quite an interesting one. I mean, I wasn't much into stout until I really moved to London. In London, there is quite a lot of porters and not like stouts that are not that thick.
Yeah.
So more like an easy drinking, basically, stout, which is not necessarily what I like. As I said, I really like the mouthfeel and the thick notes. So yeah, I think when it goes to like big stout, imperial stout, this is something I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
We did this barrel-aged imperial stout last year, basically aged in a bourbon barrel for 8 months with some Scotch bonnet and really, really strong chocolate notes, which was really, really good.
Yeah.
So this is the sort of stout that I like.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a bourbon barrel. Are you getting that from America?
We got it from a wholesalers in the UK, but it came from America. I can't remember exactly where. I need to
Probably
ask Julia,
Kentucky.
but Kentucky, I guess.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Have you been over to America for the beer scene?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Whereabouts have you
I've
gone?
Been to New York a couple of times.
Yep.
I went to Other Half. I went to KCBC.
Yep.
Barrier.
Nice.
I mean, Other Half.
Other Half's amazing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's such a
Yeah.
cool
They're just
brewery.
amazing.
Yeah.
So basically, I went there 2 years ago for New Year's Eve.
Holy cow.
Nice.
It was like terrific.
And
I was
crazy, yeah.
So drunk there. But yeah, like I tried a beer called Blueberry Crunchy, which was like an Imperial Berliner Weiss
Yep.
with like granola. What was it?
It's probably
Blueberry
granola.
vanilla-
Yeah.
Granola.
Yeah, blueberry
exactly, sorry.
lactose. Yeah.
Lactose, and I just loved it. And basically, I came back and I brewed the same the week after.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you think you
But-
like those beers so much just because you don't get them where you are? It's not very popular
It's more
style,
difficult.
maybe?
Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
difficult. But to be honest, now like London is getting. I mean, of course, everything in craft beer started from the US, right? So
We'd like to think so.
no, but there's a lot of UK breweries now that I don't want to say necessarily copy, but they take inspirations from a lot
Right.
of
Yeah, of course.
brand, big names,
Yeah.
big American names. So now you start to see a lot of more American beers in Europe as well, and in London, and with cold chain, so properly transported beers. So
Do you see more American beers out there as well? Like if you went to a beer store, could you get
Yes.
Sierra Nevada and such?
Well, we see a lot of big bottles, like brewery.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know them.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
I mean, New York stuff a lot. So KCBC, other half. So I think there were 7.
That's pretty great that you
breweries.
see other half
Yeah.
because I barely see other half here. So we might have to trade
when
some other
I say
half.
I see, it's more festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that common, to be honest.
Yeah.
They did a lot of collabs with UK breweries, actually, recently. So,
Yeah.
We mentioned off air you like the New England style IPA. Obviously, us being here where the New England style IPA was invented, do you see? We call it the haze craze. If the hazier the beer, the better. I guess is what a lot of people. I don't know if we agree with it, but how do you feel about hazy beer in the UK? Is that a thing?
there is a huge divide in England between something that's called Canberra,
Yeah. The
which I don't know if
cask
you've never
beer.
heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still there. And they did a law in the 70s in England to basically promote quality beers, right? And now there are still a lot of pubs that serve, beautiful cask beers. And then you have the new pubs. And the new pubs, basically everything that you see now there is New England, basically.
They call it New England style IPA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now they dropped the name New England actually in beers because it's almost like a given for some breweries. So they just say IPA, but it's obvious that it's a New England. Is it the same for you?
No, because we'll have like West Coast IPAs here. We'll have IPAs, then we'll
Or
have
English IPAs. We
Well,
get those
English
as well
IPAs, yeah.
sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, West Coast are getting quite popular this year. But like last year, any IPA in can that you would go for, it would be like mostly a New England style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and hazy.
Yes, super hazy, super hazy. Like 30 grams of dry hop.
Oh, gee. Nice.
We did it as well. The problem is that you need to have the right kit to brew some of these beers, right? So yeah, but every time we brewed it was amazing and really popular.
Yeah.
Is the beer scene more driven towards IPAs now, or what is the beer scene like?
Yeah.
Again, you said there was a divide, so it's kind of cask or IPAs.
Yeah. Sorry, the divide is still pretty much there, and Canberra is pretty much like the old school drinker, from an age perspective, and the young crowd will be more on IPAs and sours. I think the market is still like 80% pale and IPAs here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the United States, we're seeing a turn for people enjoying crispy boys, lagers, pilsners. Do you guys see that with being so close, to Germany? You having a German brewer yourself.
One of our core beers is actually a style called Italian Pilsner.
Yeah.
So, which I've seen it quite a lot in the US,
Yeah.
right?
It's becoming more
Especially in
popular
the
here. Yeah.
West Coast, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, this style was created by a brewery in Italy called Birrificio Italiano, and they made this brew called Tipo Pils, and it was basically like a pils with dry hop, some light dry hop there, and I've always loved that. So we brewed that basically like 5 years ago, and it didn't have a big success. Nobody really liked that, so we stopped it. We didn't make it again, but now it's getting big here in the UK as well.
So now, what makes an Italian Pilsner? Is that just the slight dry hop, or what else do you use in it?
Yeah. It's a dried hop that typically is not with the Saz. Is more with like German.
So it's essentially it's a Czech pilsner, correct? But it's Continue.
No, I was just gonna say that we're also working with an Italian hop farm now to get some.
Cool.
Hops from there and to make an Italian Pilsner with some Italian hops, actually.
What kind of hops are grown in Italy?
It's tough there because it's really hot.
Right.
As you know, so there's basically imported varieties. So they, for example, Cascade, Chinook, all this kind of basic stuff. But they also starting to do some experimental hops as well. But super small scale, so it's really tough to get hold of them.
Yeah.
Right. That's fun, though. It's cool that you guys are focused kind of on local ingredients.
How do you say hop in Italian?
Luppolo.
Oh, that makes sense. Lupulin glands.
There is,
right? Yeah.
There's a beer from Maine, which is very close to where we are. That's called Lupolo.
Oh, right.
and it's an
okay.
Italian. And it's an Italian
Pilsner.
pilsner.
Nice.
Yeah, from a brewery called
Oh,
Oxford.
right.
Yeah.
Fun.
When did things kind of take off for ORA for you guys? You know, what year was it that you guys kind of were seeing some success?
It was 2 years ago when we launched the balsamic.
Oh,
So basically
Of
that
course.
beer was featured by like a camera writer as one of the 5 most innovative beers of the year.
oh
Cool.
wow.
And,
Nice.
And then basically in December, it was our big like turning point when our sour. So basically we brew this beer, which is it's called an Italian grape ale, which is, I don't know if you ever come across the style, but basically
No.
it's sour beer that's typically brewed with, it's like a mixed fermentation between beer and wine, right?
Yeah.
So you put the wine must in fermentation, or you put the grapes after the harvest, of the grapes. And we make this sour grape ale, basically, and he won the award for the best sour beer at Love Beer London, which is a festival here in London.
Cool.
Well,
So,
that's
you know,
cool.
Everybody wanted that beer, basically. So yeah, that was kind of the big point.
In America, we have people waiting in line to get beer. Breweries like Treehouse, like Other Half, Trillium in our area, people wait in line, sometimes 3-4 hours. Is that what it's like in London? Is there beer scene, people waiting in line for new beers to be dropped?
Yeah, it's not always like, but like, for example, the Bourbon County, every time they launch this every year, there is a queue to get in and get the new bottle.
Yep.
There is a brewery called Verdant from the south of England. They did I think they did some collabs with some of the American breweries. I can't remember where. But basically, every beer that they launch, there is queue to basically get the new one. So it's starting to be like that. It's quite recent, but yeah, it's starting.
Are cans really popular now, or do you think tap room is more popular still?
Sorry, did you say?
Well, like
Cans.
tap room versus canned beer. Like, are you selling a lot of canned beer now, or no?
Or is it bottle?
Yeah. So cans, it's basically 99%
Okay.
of like the packaged beers that you see. Bottles, before lockdown, it used to be still there for like big bottles.
Okay.
But after lockdown, basically, I almost haven't seen any kind of big bottles. Maybe because people tend to share less because they were drinking
Right.
at home.
Right.
But yeah, it's mainly cans nowadays.
What size can are you guys doing? The 355 milliliter cans,
It's
or
440.
440? So
yeah.
16
Okay,
ounce
16
in
ounce.
America.
Yep.
Yeah. That's mainly what we see there.
Yeah.
How has not to necessarily get into it, but how has COVID affected you guys in London?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, to be honest, we were quite quick to react.
Yeah.
And you've seen other breweries being really smart, I think, moving basically to cans straight away. We used to do a bit of canning, but not much, and it didn't sell much. But after lockdown, basically, we had like pallets of cans disappearing in a few weeks.
Oh, jeez, wow.
It was, a bit tough because we didn't really know what to expect. But the government here helped us a lot, to be honest. So they gave a lot of grants and support,
That's
like
awesome to
for
see.
businesses. So
Yeah.
we did a lot of deliveries. People were like scared of running out beers. Guys. I don't know if it was the same for you. One day I got an order from a guy that ordered like 8 mixed cases of beers, like 24 cans, like 800 pounds of beers, like $1,000 basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's great for you guys, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough time, right?
Yeah,
And,
same here, for sure.
And, it was really sad, to be honest. But it was good to be flexible and to at least make good.
So do you have a traveling canner that comes by and cans your beer, or do you have a canning system there?
Yes, we have a mobile canning company that comes
Yeah.
there and cans there for us. Is it
Nice.
quite common?
Yeah,
for
that's,
you?
Yeah, we do the
that's
same
very
thing here.
common. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Really?
we have a couple mobile canners in our area, and they've really, I think, saved some of the businesses that have been around here, luckily. Has the beer industry been affected negatively by COVID? Have you
Yeah,
seen...
we've seen a few breweries shutting down,
Yeah.
to be honest, which is unfortunate. We've
Yeah.
seen pubs. Now, so lockdown finished basically on the 14th of July, so we ran it's the
Still
other day,
new to be
right?
open. Yeah.
Still, yeah. but a third of the pubs haven't reopened then.
Wow.
Because, with all the social distancing, basically you have a third of people that you can keep in the same pub, right? So for some pubs, it was just not economically viable to reopen. So yeah, it's still and also some other pubs maybe reopened, but you see that it didn't make sense, so they reclosed again.
Down. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I noticed on your website you guys are open on Saturdays, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Only one day a week?
Yes. Yeah. We only open one day because the site is quite small. I don't want to turn into a bar. I don't want to turn into a carnage there because it's still a brewery site.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good because the area where we live, there's not many pubs there. It's quite a residential, historically a bit poor area as well. So it's good to give something different to the community. So only on Saturday.
Yeah.
Outside of COVID, are you usually open more days or only every Saturday?
No, only on Saturdays. We open on a match day when Tottenham is playing, but usually on Saturdays.
Wow. The name ORA, what does that mean?
It means shade in my dialect. So the idea is to get the idea of the farmer working on the countryside all day, and then it gets, after, all the hard work, gets rest under the shade of a tree and enjoys a good beer.
Nice.
And was that the original name for the brewery, or did you that was always the plan to name it that?
Always the plan, yeah.
That doesn't often happen here.
Yeah, in the United States, people often have to go with their third or fourth pick. So the fact that you got it on the first try.
It's pretty good.
In the United States, we have an app called Untap. Are you familiar with Untapped? Is that popular in the UK?
Really, really popular.
Yeah.
It's good and bad at the same time.
How do you feel about
we were
it?
going to ask, what's your opinion
I
of
don't know
Untapped?
what you guys think, but sometimes you talk with some bottle shops and they wouldn't even consider you beer if, a rating is not perfect or not above 3.9. And I think, what they say is, this is what customers look at on the shop. But at the same time, I think that kind of deflects a little bit the purpose of the bottle shop, because the way I see the bottle shop is, the manager is someone that should go to the customers and should be able to develop a relationship with him and suggest it shouldn't just be a point of a customer getting to a shop and checking an app.
Yeah,
what do you
that's
guys
a
think?
really good way. No, that's
exactly.
A lot of the times we see people say "Oh, I hate Untapped. I wish it was a 0 to 10 scale instead of 0 to 5, because a 4 is that's just okay, but maybe an 8 or 9 is actually really what they would rate it." So that's interesting.
Yeah,
we have not seen Untapped impact distributions. Well, maybe we have.
Maybe it does.
We
haven't
just
really
haven't thought of it
ventured
from
in that direction, but we're not necessarily big fans of Untapped either.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's some other apps in the UK, for example, that want to kind of challenge a little bit these rating systems, to focus a bit more on the community, as in more like check-ins, for example, connecting with other people without necessarily giving a rating.
Yeah. Do you
so
have
maybe...
a England brewery check-in app?
There's one that's just recently started. I can't remember the name, to be honest. But there's a couple that recently started this year.
Yeah. In the United States, we see a lot of camaraderie between breweries. For example, if a brewery runs out of grain, another brewery is right there to help them out. Do you guys see that sense of community within British breweries?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. There is an association called London Brewers Alliance, which we basically have a forum where, if you need some hops last minute, you just post it there, and then, a lot of people replies. There is a lot of, it's one of the best things actually of the scene here, that sense of community and help with each other. It's still quite big. We're all competitors, but at the end of the day, we're all in the same shit together, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
We see in the United States a huge emphasis for women in beer, such as boots like Pink Boot Society. Does that exist in England?
Yeah, this is something that I always think would talk with my brewer. So she's a girl, of course. She's a woman.
Yeah.
But we're a big fan of diversity, but we don't want to use it for brand marketing. To me personally, it doesn't make a difference if she's a man or a girl. It doesn't really make sense. What I care is about, how we connect and if she makes good products.
Right.
But when we start to talk, she also said, well, London, UK, 99% of the sector is white British men. So
Right.
it made me start to think that actually there could be a point in not just using it for marketing, but just promoting, supporting that, and sponsor, be really a champion of that in the sector.
Yeah.
So I think we started to launch, not launch, but promote that, and posting a few more pictures of our female brewer and starting to attend some of these events. There is like a Woman Collabs Day every year where all girls come together and brew something.
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool. If you were to describe the British drinking scene, what is it? What's a popular beer in the UK?
So, like, people, I think, still drink mostly in the pubs. They don't drink much like takeaways or home. It's more like a pub culture. Pub culture in the UK, it's quite iconic. It's like, it started as a way to really connect people in the countryside. Doesn't matter if you're a banker or if you're, upper class, lower class, you're getting together to drink. And this is something I really love of this culture.
Yeah, that's really special. I think.
Is it the same in the US?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I think we see breweries packed on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But you also see with a lower demographic, younger, the drinking age in the United States is 21. Mm-hmm. So you see bars more packed, but then you see your 22 to 30-year-old, even a little bit older, really at the breweries right now. I don't know.
And
if
I think
that's
your
the
pub culture is a little different than ours, but yeah.
Do you see with the drinking age being lower in England, are people more adapt to drinking spirits, or is it more beer driven at younger ages?
I think people start, especially young generations, they start to drink basically less quantity and to try, a little bit less of more variety. And this is something that's happening, all over, I think. But I think, the kind of dual word that I was describing before with kind of the camera generation, that's still there. And that's still probably, I don't know, the majority, but it's still significant, especially outside London, because London, it's, probably more modern and everything, but that's a fifth of the UK, and everything else is kind of countryside, really. Yeah. So, yeah.
Does Guinness rule in England, or what is the go-to beer?
So you have, a lot of Guinness. You have a lot of Stella.
Okay,
That talking about the mainstream.
Right,
yeah, what's the mainstream?
Yeah.
Foster's. There's quite a lot there.
Foster's, all right.
Wow. Budweiser, Coors, anything?
You know what? There's not a lot of that, actually. Not a lot of American, mainstream stuff.
That's okay. We're okay with that.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine.
And like good breweries. Probably, of course, Brewdog. That probably between the first one in the craft beer world. I think they brew as well in the US, right? And you start to see a little bit more of that.
Brewdog?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's becoming more popular. Yeah.
So that's probably the main player now in craft beer. I mean, if you can still consider that craft beer, because that's quite big volume.
Yeah, they're kind of on the edge. Yeah.
But if you then go down the list, there's Beavertown, which I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's basically the brewery that's founded by the son of Robert Plant, the guy from Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin, really?
Awesome.
I know. And they're massive now.
Oh, of course.
Of course they are. Yeah.
Of course. And then, there's some amazing breweries. Northern Monk from Leeds is one of the ones that really deserve a shout out. Mm-hmm. They do a good variety of beers, really strong hoppy stuff, but also really good lagers and sour beers.
Where do you see the trend in beer going in the UK in the next 5 years? Do you see it going more towards lagers or sour beers, or you don't know?
So, in terms of styles, I don't really know. I think it will be more of a diversity. I think it will be maybe less ABV, maybe a little bit more, 0%, 1%, which is not probably my thing, but experimenting a bit more with hops. I've seen a lot recently. Fruits has been quite popular.
Yeah.
I think what's going to really change is not much on the styles, but it's going to be more on the channel. This is something I've always appreciated by the American drinkers, because you guys have a lot of really good beers in markets and shops and supermarkets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is something that doesn't really happen here.
Oh,
And also,
okay.
our supermarket sometimes never really have a fridge for the beers. So beers are stocked like a hot, it's not super hot here, but, in summer it could be. So, it's still there's still a lot of work to do, I think, in the supermarket, but it will grow.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting to think of.
Yeah.
And what about the US? What do you think about new trends there?
So hard to tell, but
I'd like to think that it's pilsners and lagers right now. The
Yeah.
big trend in the United States right now is seltzers.
for sure.
So White Claw, is that something? And I was just about to ask you, is that something that you guys are into? What's your opinion on those?
We've seen it. I've tried it. It's not for me.
Yeah.
But I know it's growing. And also I've seen in Italy breweries starting to make it. So
Yeah.
So it is coming, you think?
It is coming. I think. Yeah. It's like low ABV. Everyone says
Exactly.
it's coming. It's a trend. But would it be big in terms of volumes? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
It's funny. We talked to a
hope
lot of craft breweries around here, and some of our favorites are starting to brew
low ABV,
low ABV, zero
seltzers.
ABV, seltzers, all that stuff. Just because you guys have a great pub culture there. You don't necessarily have to drink to enjoy the pub culture. To go to a brewery, there are options. Some breweries are selling wine, some breweries are selling some spirits, some breweries are selling, Coca-Cola and all of that. But now to have options for people who don't drink, that's a very big emphasis for breweries, because they want people to come. There are some breweries that don't even allow children in the United States. I don't know. Do all?
Really?
Yeah. Are there breweries? All breweries allow children in the UK?
I think so. Majority, I think so. Yeah. Like all the tap rooms that I've seen in the UK, they're always like they tend to have a big outdoor. They never. There are a few in the city, in the center, but they're always a little bit in the suburbs. So it's like industrial estate with a lot of space.
Yeah.
So they tend to be quite kids and family friendly.
Yeah.
That's cool to see.
In your opinion,
Like in my brewery, for example, in the tap room yesterday, you had I don't know, at least 5 or 6 families with all the kids, and that was pretty good actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we put techno music on, and then they left.
in your opinion, obviously knowing what the Italian brewing scene is, knowing a little bit about the American brewing scene, and obviously being involved in the English brewing scene, what is the best country for beer right now?
Ooh.
Ooh, that is a tough one.
Well, I mean, it all started there, guys. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but like some of the big bottles that you try from the US, they're just another level, I think. And I mean, Belgium, of course, some of the, Flanders Red that you can drink there, some of the in Lambic that are there for 2 obvious different styles, but maybe I think in the US for maybe hoppy stuff, and in maybe Belgium for the sour beers. That's what I think. What do you guys think?
I'd have to say,
I would hate to agree. But
I agree. I think Germans for the lagers, pilsners.
Of course.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It kind of goes off of style,
Yeah.
right? I mean, depends on what country you're in.
Yeah, but U.S., I mean, we know the U.S. the best, if you will. So, I mean, but I think the pales coming from England are phenomenal.
solid. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It would be cool to see more craft beers sent from England.
What do you guys see in terms of in terms of British beers in America?
Almost none.
Yeah,
Newcastle.
Yeah.
That's
So
about
exactly
yeah.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Starts with an F.
Foster's. That's Australian.
No, not that.
Australia.
No.
Yeah, we don't see
Because they
much.
do
don't
like
see much, really.
ESBs.
We
the
will
one I'm thinking of.
We will see. There's a festival in Massachusetts called
Nirax. Yeah, and that's kind of camera. They do cask beer.
Yeah, and
Only.
and often we will see English beers from them.
Yeah.
But a lot of breweries brew like ESBs, which the bitter beers from England. So there are a lot of breweries that are British-based styles, but we never see British beers.
We don't often see too many British beers. We'll see some German beers, plenty of Belgian beers for sure, the lambics and things. But yeah, not much from England.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the balsamic stout that you guys brew. Talk about. I was intrigued by the limoncello. I love limoncello. I
That
make
sounds amazing
limoncello
right
every
now.
year.
Yeah.
Is that one of the top sellers for you guys?
Yes, it's the main bestseller. So the idea with the beer, was to basically bring some of one of the most common Italian products, basically in beer, right? And basically we mash with really pale malts, so to recreate that kind of color of the limoncello.
Yeah.
Initially, we put loads of lactose for the creamy effect, but now we went all vegan friendly, so we replaced it with maltodextrin to get that kind of body. And then, with citra and dry hop for the citrusy note, and then loads of lemon peel from the Sorrento lemons. And people just get nuts for that. They're crazy about that beer.
I've never heard of that, and I'm sad I haven't.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Now, is that available in cans?
Yeah. It's in cans. We were going to brew it again this week, so when it's ready, I'll send you a few cans, guys.
Yeah. We'll do a little trade.
We'll talk on Instagram and tell us what you want, and we'll send you some.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get to know a little bit more about you, drinking wise. What are you drinking at home? What beers are you into at home?
Well, usually I'm a big sour drinker.
Okay.
But
now, do you guys kettle sour, or do you guys?
Yeah, we do kettle sour. Yeah. But I like basically anything sour, like from my lambics, Berliner Weiss, but any sour IPAs I like a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of Brewery, the American guys.
Yeah.
Any of the fruited sours that I always try to get hold of any bottles that I see. I had really good sours from Grimm as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But lockdown changed my drinking habit a little bit because I wanted to smash a few pints. So basically, I went for hop forward stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you drinking right now?
Oh, now it's basically the best example of British Pilsner. So this is basically the one of the most bestseller, basically Pilsner in the UK, brewed in the UK, which is a brewery from Bristol called Lost and Grounded. And they make these Keller Pils that's really, really nice and crisp.
That's a
Very
cool
nice.
can too, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's good.
I'd like to know: do you have a guilty pleasure beer, a beer that you wouldn't tell your friends that you drink?
Well, no. It's a good question. So, for example, during lockdown, I didn't say that to anyone, but I started to buy some beers from the supermarket downstairs. And basically, as I was saying before, when you go to the supermarket and buy beers, usually it's not the best. So, but they're quite cheap.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And they do the job.
Yes, they do the job. So, no, but style, I don't know. Interesting. Anything about you? I'm curious.
My guilty pleasure is probably Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah. Or like a Corona, like a Corona and lime.
Corona,
yes.
Do you have a favorite beer and beer and food pairing? Like, what's your favorite food to drink with beer?
Let me think. I had a good risotto, mushroom risotto with
Oh
a
my
red
God.
ale in lockdown. Really malty, like pretty bread, and it went really well with the creaminess of the mushroom. Yeah, it was really, really nice.
Oh, that sounds good. We usually get like chicken wings or hamburgers, so it's good to hear like a
A
mushroom
risotto. That
risotto.
sounds great. Yeah.
What's something that you want to learn more about in the brewing process?
Ooh,
Or in the beer industry. Always
so-
like that too.
I have to admit, so I started the brewery, so I was brewing with my friends. But then when we start to, be professional and, have our own brewery, I kind of understood that with my competencies, it wasn't enough. So I basically had to get like a professional brewer. So now I kind of took a step back a little bit. So I'm more focused on now sales and marketing. So there's a lot that I need to learn about the brewing process, because basically my brewing experience was on the home brewing kit. So,
Yeah.
I'm the assistant brewer basically when my brewer helps brewers. On the sector, I think there are some styles that are still kind of new to me in a way, like wheat beers, for example, or there are some, I don't know, countries that I've heard amazing things about, like France, but I never really had much from them.
Yeah.
I heard a lot about Japanese hops, so this.
Actually, I'm kind of curious about homebrew now that you mentioned that again. Is it tough to homebrew in Europe? Do you have a lot of homebrew shops and stores to buy things from, or?
So I started in Italy, and like 10 years ago, there was nothing. So I had to basically ask a guy that used to work in like a steel factory, basically to produce like a 20-liter basically pod for me.
Holy cow!
Yeah. No,
Wow.
it was a drama. And then I think we got the first ingredients from a place in Germany. So yeah, it wasn't
So it's
easy.
not easy.
Now
Not
it's
easy to homebrew.
Now it's easier.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were the laws back then? Like, when can you start home brewing?
Or are there any laws on homebrewing?
Yeah.
No, there's no. At least in Italy, I don't think in the UK. No, home brewing is pretty deregulated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about in the US? Is there?
There's not
I
many.
think there may be a limit on how much you can make, but no one's like knocking on your door asking you. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and there's also the law where you can, underage, you can brew your own beer. You just can't drink any of it.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
silly.
true.
But yeah.
Where would you like to see the British beer scene go in the next 5 years?
Well, I mean, there's such a huge tradition, and we see a lot of British breweries exporting to Europe. Like Italians love their British beers. In the Nordics as well, like Sweden, Norway, we see a lot of British beers. Like British beers in Europe have quite a brand, and as in we get a lot of requests for export. Like we send
Interesting.
stuff to France and Norway, but that's just about it.
Yeah.
Like it would be nice to see more of our beers, like in the US or in Asia, or
Right.
Yeah.
Are your beers being distributed as well?
Yeah. We have a couple of distributors in the UK and one in Italy. Yeah,
Wow. Nice.
Cool.
but really small.
Yeah.
We're
yeah.
really small, super
Yeah.
small.
How many barrel system are you guys on?
So I always struggle with the barrel system, but basically now it's gonna be fun. We got 5 fermenters. Each fermenter is 1,500 liters.
Okay.
Cool.
We'll do the math after the episode.
well,
Don't
yeah,
worry.
later.
Yeah.
Nice.
But that's 5 fermenters is a good amount for you guys right now, though, right?
Yeah, it's small, and to be honest, they're all full and getting refilled and pretty
Yeah.
quickly, which is the main thing.
Right.
Not having beer that's sat there for months. You don't want to have that.
Right.
So yeah.
Thank you for doing this. We really appreciate you doing this with us tonight. I know it's a little bit
Taking time out
late
of your
for you guys.
busy weekend. Yeah.
No, it's really good for me to because I love the beer scene in the US, and to be able to understand a bit more about you was nice. Was really good.
more importantly, we want our listeners to follow you and find out what you guys are doing. Where are you guys located on social media and the internet?
So we're ORA Brewing on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
And then your website?
Oh yeah, and then www.orab.com.
Okay. Yeah.
Very good.
And obviously our listeners, mostly United States, but you guys are open on Saturdays?
Yes, Saturdays 12 to 8.
What's your address?
16A Rosebery Industrial Park, N17 9SR London, in the fancy Tottenham.
Excellent.
Sounds fancy.
And one more request for you. Can you do your best American accent for us?
Yeah, man. Let's have a beer together, mate. Yeah, mate.
That was so good.
That was great. No, that was
good.
great.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I really love that.
Yes. And lastly, I know he kind of thought that was it, but one more thing. What are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of, having turned a good friendship into basically something that gives good breeze and basically gives job to a couple of people. And that's something that's growing. And, what I usually say, it's like opening a brewery in London for an Italian. It's like for a British person to go to Naples and open a pizzeria, right?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. You seem to be doing pretty well out there. So
Yeah. We're excited.
Keep it
Once
on.
COVID kind of goes away, I think we're going to have to make a trip to England.
oh yeah.
I
That'd
think
be
so.
great. Or to Italy.
Both.
Or to Italy.
How about
yes.
How about Dan? You are our travel guide when we come to England, and then you're gonna have to take us to Italy because
Done.
I
That'll be
love,
it.
as you can see, I like a lot of pizza, and I want to try the best pizza in the world. So, all right, well, thank you so much for doing this tonight.
Thank you,
and we
yeah.
really do appreciate it, and we wish you all the best. We really do. Your story is awesome. It's really, really inspiring just to hear like. Coming from Italy, going to a different country and starting a business, that is so...
And it worked.
That's so awesome. So congratulations.
guys.
That's a lot of
Yes.
success for you guys. So
No, thank you.
congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
All right, and cheers. We'll catch you next
Cheers.
time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you once again for listening to our episode with our friend Daniele from ORA. And you have to say it. Roll the R. He told us to roll the R. And I cannot wait to maybe get our hands on some of that beer, or when things are safe, to make a journey over to London, because I'm excited to find out about their beer scene. And I think it's important to see where other beer scenes are going, just because it educates our listeners and educates us, because not that we're doing it right, but I think a lot of countries look to what we're doing and maybe we don't look to what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That was real meta, I guess. I don't know. But you guys can help us by supporting our friends. Shirts on Tap, Beer and Wine Hobby, and we're going to be announcing another one real soon as well. So make sure that you support them. If you are a up and starting musician, or an already established musician, or podcaster, or blogger, or
Whatever you
everything,
are.
make sure to go to Small Pond Studios in Georgetown, Massachusetts, and hit up Jazz. He is the man, and he makes our podcast sound amazing every week. So we cannot implore you enough to go check them out and support.
Yeah.
So we have an awesome episode lined up for you next week. We have a content episode.
Ooh.
I know we've said that a couple times, but I think we actually do have one lined up.
I think we're actually going to do it this time.
Yeah, and we recorded early enough that we can be organized and do it.
Yeah.
So until
Stay
next
tuned.
week,
Cheers.
cheers.